Massive Rockets, we call ourselves the Braze and Snowflake agency. We're a team of about 90-ish people. Half our customers are in the US, the rest are across Europe. And it's been quite a fun ride. Like we started, like it was just me and my friend. We don't want to sell crap to people who don't need it. And then like try and like do good work and just like kind of not wake up hating life every day. We were both in kind of like tough jobs kind of thing. And like we were fortunate to have jobs, to be fair, but they were kind of like, okay, this sucks. Like maybe we can do something nicer. During COVID, we really had nothing else to do. We were kind of like locked in a house and had nothing else to do than work. And so we kind of worked like crazy people. And that I think really pushed us to grow like and set us on a growth trajectory over the last few years. So I never studied how to do this stuff. And so this is, I think, one of the more useful things that I've learned over the last few years. And once I figured some of these things out, it kind of made me love my job. I'm hoping maybe some of this might be a little bit helpful. I showed this to a friend at the NBA and he was kind of like, this is really cool. I understand why you guys are growing. I learned something over here. You know, when you grow like crazy, you end up having like too much stuff and it's just everything explodes all over the place. There's too many, like during COVID also, like you kind of got like email, WhatsApp, Slack. There's all this crap that comes from everywhere at crazy high volume. When you grow a lot, like it's like you kind of very quickly can feel overwhelmed. And this has been kind of like the fundamentals of how we've kind of combated that feeling. It's imperfect. There must be better ways of doing this, but we've learned a lot by doing this. I start by just feeling thankful that there's work. When COVID hit, we were 7 people. We had 3 big customers. And to be honest, everyone stopped paying. We had a bunch of new customers in the pipeline. We'd hired to go in and serve like the new customers. The existing customers stopped paying. The new customers all disappeared. Like no one was answering. And then the team all, like it was quite scary, right? Like everyone was kind of like dying or we didn't know what was going on. So everyone didn't want to come to work or anything. And I woke up every day thinking, well, it's pretty awesome to have work to do. Like what else am I going to do? It's like there's something to go and do, right? And so like that's something that you sometimes forget is we're kind of lucky to have jobs. And so like I kind of just wake up feeling thankful every day. And then it's kind of like, okay, shut up and work. That's kind of what I tell myself. But yeah, like generally feeling thankful. And then when you look at it, this is the kind of first thing we learned in computer science is like, you know, like they kind of have this metaphor is like, how do you eat an elephant? And I think also like you probably don't want to eat an elephant, but it's like that's kind of the metaphor is like, you kind of want to go one bite at a time. Like this is exactly what they taught us is like, how do you eat an elephant? And I just kind of remembered it. And then when I was kind of like, I don't really want to eat an elephant. But that's how do you achieve a big piece of work is like one small step at a time. And it's you kind of take a big block, you break it in small blocks, and then you knock them out one after the other. And that's progress. That's how that simple thing is how you avoid burnout. I think you're growing like really quickly. And so like you probably have high pressure demands from clients, demands from teammates, internal initiatives. And so figuring out what to do first and how do you get stuff done is probably something that's stressful. So this is the dumb first thing, but it's like, honestly, not everyone does this. And it's kind of like make a list. Like even recently, like I found myself like I almost burnt out in January last year because we were growing like crazy and my general manager at the time had kind of a hernia and COVID at the same time, and he sneezed and broke his back and he was kind of off work immediately. So I had to do his job and my job while we were growing, and I kind of like was feeling a little bit sick in the mornings when I went to work. And so the first thing I did is just close my eyes and was like, what's stressing me out? And I just made a list of all of those things. It was definitely harder on him than it was on me. I was lucky. I had a job. I was happy to come to work. So he's well now also. He's one of my close friends. He's much better. But I sat there with this pile of stuff and expectations from the team, from customers, from partners, like competitors kind of interviewing our guys, asking bizarre stuff about our customers. Like it was just kind of like fire everywhere. And I was like, okay, like where do I start? So I first emptied out the brain and trying to look at, okay, high, medium, low, what are the kind of priorities on the stuff? Like what is actually important here? And then the next thing I did is I put my brain in the system that I could share with the team so I don't have to work on everything alone. And that's already a big thing, right? Is even if I have the list and my team can pick the list and start knocking out stuff, that's already a mega difference. That just requires like any project management system, but you make a list, stick it in the system. And then some of this, honestly, I wish I would have taught before, which is why I'm allowing myself to present to you guys. But this to me was a bit of the kind of like, holy crap, this is cool. It is basically trying to look at how to prioritize like the first batch of things you're going to knock out. And so there's maybe like a high, a medium, and a medium, and try and knock those out first. In terms of work items, right? So these could be campaigns for a customer. It could be like, you know, do an HR thing. It could be like hire a person. It doesn't really matter what the activities are here. And then try and make sure that you have a queue of the most important stuff to do that you're tackling first, rather than a whole bunch of stuff that gets done. Like what are the most important things to get done, and then knock those out first. The next thing I realized, and this I honestly, someone taught me how to do this. I hadn't realized you could actually do this, is like in a week, you can probably get 1 big thing done, which means that in a month, you can probably get 4 big things done. If you say that you're sick 1 week a month, so maybe say 3 things a month, which means kind of like 9 tasks a quarter. So that actually gives you a plan for the quarter. And you can say, look, every week I'm going to kill one thing. In a quarter, I'm going to get 9 things done. And if you get the right things done in the right order, that's actually a mountain that moves. And so this was kind of like, again, I know this sounds stupid, but to me, I was like, wow, I didn't know you could actually, I had never thought of it this way. And this really unlocked a bunch of stuff for me. It's like, since I started doing this, I love my life. I like coming to work. I have fun. It doesn't matter how hard it is. I enjoy work. And so this line over here is a bit of a secret sauce for me. I was kind of like, make sure you got the right tasks, and then make sure you've got like the right number of tasks. Like you can't really commit to more than one big thing every week. And so what is the one big thing I'm going to kill this week? Which means that this month I know I can commit to 3 things, and this quarter 9 things, and that gets done. Does that make sense, by the way? So that's cool. Awesome. I assume you guys do a decent level of this because you guys are agile, you do sprints and that kind of stuff, but I had never thought of doing this with the company. And so this really helped me. There's a other thing that I found after time is that like you can kind of find tasks that are connected. And so like, I'll give you one dumb example is like right now, like for example, you're working on reporting for a CRM project or like an ASO project or something. And you keep on doing ad hoc reports. Like you have a lot of little low priority ad hoc report. A client wants to know if this campaign performed, that campaign performed. And then you have a medium priority task, which is like build these kind of like dashboards, and a high priority, which is like make a stack where you can report automatically. If you kill the like automated reporting, then all of these other stacks clear out from the backlog. And so it's trying to figure out what is the one that can go and knock a bunch of other ones out like dominoes. So that if you don't put too much effort on these low priority ones, you kind of do the bare minimum and spend as much time as you can killing the high one. Then everyone else goes faster, kind of thing. But this was a bit of a, I hadn't really been doing that until about 2 years ago. And once we started doing that, like stuff started moving, like literally mountains, because then it's an entire team of people who can work faster rather than just you. And then just more pragmatically, this is kind of what it can look like in a backlog. This is honestly a bit amateurish, but it gives you an idea of what this can look like. So there's kind of like your P0s, which is this week, my one item. And then there's your kind of this month, P1, like what are my 3 things this month? And then your quarter, what are my 12 things? And this is just a Asana list. What matters a lot, I found, is also writing the task properly. So spend more time writing the brief. So what is the background? What are the links? What is the expected outcome? And then people can pick up the tasks. If you don't design the brief properly, then no one can take it from you. And so what we used to have are a bunch of like one-liner, like the task is a one line with no detail. And so then you have a bunch of questions. No one knows what the hell's going on. No one can take work off your plate, kind of thing. And so the detailed brief and then the right tasks, if you spend time on those 2 things, someone can take your job and do it, which is really awesome because it means you can work on the next useful thing. I do it kind of like a pig. So I'll just kind of go, like I type pretty fast and I kind of type while I'm talking. So I'll kind of do it typing. But our like 2 of our other leaders just do AI stuff. So they'll prompt the ChatGPT will crap this out. They'll edit it a little bit and then stick it in the task. And that we've got a bunch of people doing that for briefing campaigns and stuff like that. So it really helps also to give some context. Otherwise, you have a bunch of half words and then no one knows what you're talking about. So writing a proper brief means that someone else can execute faster. So that's a really high value thing to spend time on, which I used to never ever do. I used to just say one line and then get annoyed when someone used to not understand. And some of the stuff I think comes from standard manager training, but it's been like about maybe 7 years since I've been managed. Like I've never really been like carefully managed. So I didn't really have these habits when I started the company. So the second thing that I kind of found is that like you kind of need to check either with a client project or internally, like what can your team actually commit to? This was a bit of a realization because like you can't assign a bunch of stuff to people if they kind of can't do stuff and can't commit to anything. So either they don't have the skills, they don't have the time, or they can't actually do the work. So you got to check those things before you start giving out stuff to other people. And that includes clients. This is a like silly kind of thing, but it's like kind of how you like do a lot of like really big things. Is like alone you can go mega fast, but like if you want to go far, you got to go together. Some kind of like I botched the thing, but that some kind of thing is like you really need a team if you want to do big things. And so like this is like kind of the insight over here is understanding who is your team, who can actually help you, and trying to figure out where can I actually systematically rely on people and where I can't. Because otherwise, if you have a task, you assign it to someone and you can't rely on them. Not necessarily their fault, but you've decided they're going to do that, and actually from the start they were never going to do that, then you're kind of stuck. So just identify what your team looks like and then who does what kind of thing. That makes a big difference. Cool. This is the one that I'm still kind of working through, if I'm being mega honest. I have this paper stuck on my wall. I try this every single day and I kind of fail at it every day, but I'm trying to get there. But as a, like, that's kind of going from like doer to manager. But even as a doer, like the more you can coach, like the better, to be honest. Like then you have people around you who've got your back. If you feel like, you know, and I'll show you clearly what I mean by this, but we've gotten a hell of a lot better at doing this stuff. But I think me personally, I still have a lot of growth to do in this area. And so this is something that I think about every single day, like, when I come to work. These slides are a bit messy, but really, like, I think about it in terms of, like, if you score your work out of 10 as a team, right? 2 out of 10 is everyone's burning out, people are quitting, the client's annoyed, like, everything's on fire. 6 out of 10 is kind of like we meet expectations, but we probably get fired from the client at some point. And 10 out of 10 is everyone's having an awesome time, the client's having an awesome time, people are thriving, juniors are contributing and growing in the team. This is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into going from like 2 to 10. So, like, obviously take this with a pinch of salt, but it's part of the secret is in this. And this is the company we were 2 years ago in January. I'd say we had a few like rock stars who'd carry the work for everyone, and it was kind of like the work is briefed on Monday by the client. Everyone works like crazy. Friday afternoon, we look at the work. This is all garbage. Someone fixes it all, and then everyone is like, cool, we're an awesome company, and then go to sleep. It's like, panic, start again next week. This was we were stuck in this pattern. This may not be the case for all of you or all your teams, but we were like that. Like, we were absolutely like that. And it was kind of like, the heroes were kind of proud because we were doing some cool stuff, but it was kind of like, but like the guys around us suck. We were kind of not proud as a team, kind of thing. And it is a cool feeling to have a team of killers around you doing amazing stuff, right? And so we slowly evolved to, like, I'd call this like kind of 6 out of 10. Is like the work is briefed on Monday, everyone works crazy hard. Thursday night, the team lead kind of looks at the stuff, cleans up the work the best they can. The lead prepares to present, then they'll go deliver the work. And then on Friday night, the team lead's like, I've had to be a hero again. Like, my team kind of sucks. I have to do I've got all of these juniors. They told me they hired me a bunch of people, but I've got to do all their work for them. They're not ramping up, kind of thing. So that kind of feeling was there, even though we had really wonderful, awesome people. It's because, I'm the one to blame, right, from top to bottom. Like, I'm the only person that I'm blaming here. It's because of the way we were set up, in my opinion. And so, like, part of the issues were that, like, what I was telling you with the brief is, like, no one really knew what to expect. So a bunch of people had bunch of one-line tasks assigned to them. So it's like, how can you actually meet that brief? Unless you're a senior, like, there's no way of getting that done. The teams were working in silos. So that was another issue I had, is like, each time we made deliverables, even amongst my leadership team, right, I asked for a piece of work, everyone did their part, no one reviewed it as a whole, and then it just came to me and it was like, this is rubbish, what is this? And so, like, that's kind of a symptom of this. Lack of understanding. So that's the other issue, is like, the only place where you really validate understanding is over here. So like the day before, like, delivering the thing, or the morning, it's like, we actually don't understand this brief, like, and then you have to go and give it to the client. So you've kind of lost 4 days, and you're kind of like, okay, crap. The teams don't really communicate between each other, so you don't have, like, you have everyone kind of working on their own thing, maybe doing twice the same thing also, and working crazy hard trying to do their best, but on the wrong things. And then lack of training also. So that resulted in this kind of like mess kind of thing. Like, sorry, I'm painting a bit of a gloom and doom picture, but it wasn't all that bad, right? Like, I loved all the people, we had fun, but this was really hard. Like, this is kind of what it felt like. Like, the easy way to know what 10 out of 10 feels like is that, like, I'm thinking about this as in terms of serving clients, is that the client knows you're going to kill it even before you've done the work. That's actually what amazing looks like. And the team's kind of looking at the future, not their feet. Like, even today, I'd say we're looking too close at our feet at Massive Rocket, and we should be looking far ahead and thinking about how do we get there. If you're always looking at your feet, if there's a wall, you're going to crash into it. Like, if you look at the future, you can really do great things. And as we do these things, we slowly can see further ahead, but it really takes, like, work from top to bottom to make this stuff happen. But this first part, I think, is, even now, I think a really solid guideline is, if the client, and the client can be internal or external. We have this for HR teams, we have this for, like, all the different teams at Massive Rocket, is like, does the person you serve know that you're going to kill it when time comes to present the outcome of the work? If they don't think it's going to be awesome even before the presentation, there's a big chance that it's not going to be awesome. In short, the work is briefed on Monday. Ideally, on the Monday afternoon, you kind of do research and say, do we actually understand this work? And that's a step that we used to miss all the time, is we used to kind of validate our understanding way too late, and then you just lose days. It's like, does everyone understand this work? Are we clear on what the client's asking? Do we know what good looks like? If not, start there and don't do anything else. Don't start doing anything until you understand what needs to happen. On Tuesday, you kind of go and, like, gather examples. How have we done this in the past? Like, don't reinvent the wheel. It's like, what have we done last time? Kind of reuse the existing assets. I guarantee you that what you're doing right now, probably someone has done it before. Try and find that and then build from there. And then the next day is, like, ideally, like, a couple days before, you have a V1, that you kind of have, that you created, that your team's starting to feel confident on. And this is cool, because then you can challenge it, make it a little bit better, and then juniors can start getting comfortable presenting and preparing to present. And so the Thursday morning, the junior can present, they can get some feedback, they can make their presentation better. And then the Friday morning, you actually get junior team members to present versus the senior, like, team leads each time, and they can go and run the show. And then Friday night, everyone parties and it's awesome. This is nice in theory, obviously. There's a lot of hard work that goes into this, and it's not always practical in terms of like different clients and like how your clients are set up and like the time you have in a day. But one of the things that I found is you can always kind of screenshot pieces of it and send to the client and say, is this what you want? Is that what you want? Does this look like in line with your expectation? Versus present everything on Friday and then they're like, well, that's not really what I asked for. And then you lose an entire week. I honestly lost a lot of money learning this stuff. So, and good people on our team also, people that I wish had managed much better. I was kind of like, crap, like I wish I knew this. So to me, this was helpful. So this last fourth one is a big one, and we continuously have to work on this across all teams. I call it peer accountability. It's like it's two very sexy words, but they really do matter when you're doing like good work. It's really like what it translates to in English is making sure that you can rely on each other. That's it. It's like, there's the guy next to me, a guy or a girl next to me, or other, like, have my back. If I say we're going to do something together, they say we're going to do it, are they going to get it done? If you know that, it's amazing to come to work, right? You know you're going to do great things, and then like kind of like magic happens on projects. And so this is, I think, the absolute hardest thing to do in this whole thing, because it requires a bunch of things like courage. It requires process. It requires time. If you have all the time 25-15-minute meetings, it's very hard to do this kind of stuff because you end up fighting more than anything else. And so it requires like time, dedication, effort, patience, and then you got to try and try and try and try. I can tell you for a fact that I've done this with a couple, like two of my teams directly, two teams of about 6 people. And we started, like when we started this process, like the first time we did it, the first week, everyone hated it. Everyone felt super uncomfortable. It was horrible. And those were 2 teams that were underperforming on every single metric. Everything was in the red. Everything was on fire. No one could do anything themselves. Those 2 teams have come to become the highest performing teams like a massive rocket at the moment. They're energized. They come to work. They do the right thing. I don't micromanage. I don't tell them what to do anymore. I help on priorities, but they're really, really flying. But it took a good 2 to 3 months to get to that state. So it's 2 or 3 months of grinding through the change because you're changing years of behaviors that I had said that were wrong. What are some of the things that you can do to enforce accountability is on Monday, you get the work briefed. You spend 1 hour on Monday. Timing is a bit arbitrary, but really understanding who's going to do what. Making sure the tasks are well defined. What are examples of what good looks like? And then this is the really important thing, is like making sure everyone understands, does everyone know what we need to do this week? And then you ask for commitment. Is like, are you going to get this done by Friday? So you ask now, and the person can say no, right? It's like, this is crazy. Like, no one's going to get this done by Friday, or like they might say maybe or something. But if you get a like half nod, or if you kind of like no one says yeah, I get it done, then there's no chance on Friday you're going to get anything. So you can, on Monday itself, you can know like we're going to get this stuff done. Then you put in, like I've started doing this also afterwards, is like 2 little check-ins, 15 minutes every day to do in progress done, right? What's blocked? Are we going to get there? If not, stop everything. What's blocking? How do we readjust course? But on Tuesday, you can adjust course versus Friday morning, with the intention of having the person who's assigned the work do the work versus their team lead fixing the work. Is like, look, you're stuck here. What do you need to get unstuck? And we unstuck the person. So you get progress, you can go through that. And then on Friday, you do the task, present to the client, whatever, but then you have some kind of little retrospective. This is the thing that I used to never do before. I don't know, like I like when people are happy. I don't like giving people like tough negative feedback. I don't like, like kind of calling people out when they make a mess. But this is what I was like, it's a huge mistake I was making as a team lead, to be honest. And the real secret sauce there is and this is where peer accountability comes from, is I don't do this one-on-one anymore. I put a team of like 5-6 people on a call. We go through the work, and then we say, look, present your tasks. Do you think this was good? Like score it from like 0 to 10. And then the person might say, yeah, this was awesome. This was an 8. And then you ask a peer, the peer might say, this is a 7. And it's like, okay, why the 7? Well, there's a typo over here. And then as you start doing that, the team starts realizing that they can actually, 1, they can actually criticize each other's work constructively, and 2, they can help each other out. And like then you're like, okay, why did you come to me and present me a 7 next time? Like, and at some point the team is kind of like starts helping each other out on this kind of stuff, but it requires a lot of stuff. And so this kind of how would you rate your work is a decent way of starting it, but it's a tough thing to hear that like you thought you were doing an 8 out of 10 and actually your team thinks it's a 2 out of 10 because there's typos, the thing makes no sense, it doesn't work for this customer. But if you never hear it, you're never going to get good. And it's better that your team tells you than the customer fires you. So that generally like that's how we think about it. And so I'll maybe leave you on this. This is my kid. She always makes stuff. Most of it is crap. But I think like, you kind of like, it's hard to tell someone their work isn't very good. And so I think it's super important not to be an asshole. Or if you're an asshole and people get defensive, you kind of apologize afterwards. You got to be brave. You got to be super clear. You got to be kind and respectful. It's like, look, Mila, this is super nice, but it's like, no one cares about this handprints. And then like kind of give people time also. Like I have this is if someone calls me out on a mistake, it's still some problem I have is like I get super defensive and then I kind of think about it and I'm like, crap, I'm a fool. And then I'll come back. But it can take people up to 2-3 weeks to take on feedback and not get defensive about stuff. But this, I think, is kind of the secret sauce behind growth is like you got to be brave, kind, respectful. Clear is something that I was not always. Sometimes because I was scared of giving, I've always managed people who are a lot more senior than me. I was always scared of telling them, look, this isn't very good. It's not good, but why? How do you get better? This is what good looks like. You got to be mega clear. Otherwise, you're just hurting feelings for no reason. And so you got to prepare also to be able to do this. I think that was it. I'm kind of done rambling. 32 minutes. I know you're prepared for an hour. But yeah, guys, like I hope this was okay and useful. These are like, 7 years of failing and screwing up stuff and hurting people's feelings. So I hope you take away something useful and can do something good with this.
Hello. First of all, thank you. I really enjoyed that. I was just thinking about giving feedback. And I really like the idea of peer feedback and people sort of scoring their own work as well, because I think it makes people, when they're really looking at things more objectively themselves, they're more open to receiving feedback from others. But I was wondering how you kind of fostered that culture of people feeling like they could give feedback, especially when it's constructive, and also for people being receptive to taking it and not feeling like put back in their box. So there's another school of thought as well as like always give any sort of like negative or constructive feedback privately. But I like what you're doing, and I'd like to kind of see how to adapt it.
I think you got to do it your way. Like don't copy paste what I'm saying. Just like take the bits that make sense. But by the way, it's a really awesome question. Like I've just like like this week I've made a mistake also, like a similar kind of thing. And I'd say like you kind of get to know your team a little bit, see what's comfortable for people, set expectations before the session. The goal is like not to kind of be rude or like like whatever. It's like, how do we get better? Like we suck, how do we get better? And I think it's important to go in there with humility as a team. When it's like when it's something like a fight between two people or something, I always take people one-on-one. I don't go and make a big thing in front of everyone. But this is like our work isn't very good. The client thinks this sucks. Can we just get better? And the thing that I found also is I've invested a lot of time one-on-one with people who eventually quit or go do something else, and then all the others don't learn. And when I do it with a lot of people, like maybe some people's feeling get a little bit hurt. We talk about it. We say, look, and the other thing is like consistency, right? I do this like since I've started doing this, I've been doing it every week for like the last 2 years. And so it's like we're here, we go through the work. What's not good, we debate openly, and that's how we get better. And so what comes out the other side is whoever buys into the process gets crazy good very quickly.
Thank you. Appreciate it.